It's the Legends of Mythic community show where we talk about things you already know. When we watch Josh backpacking his monitor glow and maybe wonder if he's not a little bit slow. And then there's Johnny Gravemaw, a moderate fool. Oh, excuse me. I mean the host. He's a tool. But we're not done yet. Here we go. And last but not least, the beautiful beard of Carl Chishan, who's the sexiest bear. So if you're gonna watch this, then buyer beware. But don't worry, there's no need to be scared. Just sit back, relax, and try not to hurl, cause we are Mythic. The best guild in the world!
Hello, and welcome to Legends of Mythic, the Mythic community show. I'm your host, John, also known as Gravemaw.
And I am Carl, also known as Chishan.
With us today, we have Zack. Zack, tell us a little bit about your character.
I play a resto/elemental shaman known as Cowstriker.
That's right, and
Yeah.
we're here to discuss matters of guild interest, as well as current events in the Tri-Server area, few as they are. Today, we'll be discussing something we've been wanting to explore for a while, and I've been kind of hinting at for 3 episodes or so. Just the difference between 10-man and 25-man.
It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure.
We've got a lot of experience there, all 3 of us,
Mm-hmm.
for better or worse. So, let's jump right into it. Zack, tell us about your history with the game.
Well, I started in vanilla and played very little because I hated the game. I hated it, but
Why?
I just didn't like the playstyle of it.
What games did you play before that?
I played nothing but Guild Wars.
Oh,
I
okay.
played Guild Wars.
Nothing but Guild Wars.
What class did you play?
So, Ranger.
I played a Necro, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, so I mean, like, transitioning from Guild Wars to WoW, I was just like, fuck this game. Like, I had like 3 friends playing at the time, and they talked me into it. So I got it, tried it out, and eventually I started warming up to it and liking it more. And I think the only raid I ever did was the Nexus 60 in vanilla.
More dots?
And more dots, yeah.
Yeah, right. The whelps.
Yeah. And then I got BC. I played a little bit in BC. Not too much, though. The most I played was in Wrath and Kata.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Carl in in Kata. DS.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember healing for his guild on my Holy Priest Ariel. Yeah, chick's name, bro.
fun. That's what I was on when I was on Alliance
Yeah,
for
on
that short period of time.
Burning Legion, I think, right?
I was on Ilaria.
Was it Illyria?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah. I don't remember. I just went through Burning Legion and Illyria so many times. It's just, like, ridiculous.
Did you play... What classes did you play back in the day?
Well, the first class I ever made was a Human Paladin.
That's so stereotypical.
Wow.
Yeah, it was...
No wonder you didn't like it.
At least it's not a Night Elf Hunter, Mitch.
That's true.
Yeah.
And backpack.
I hate Night Elves.
man.
But yeah, I was a Human Paladin, all the way up through... I think, like, all the way up through the start of Kata.
Wow.
And then I started making everything else. My second character was a druid. I made in Kata, got him to 85. And eventually gave that to Josh. No, Boomkin.
Okay, Boomkin.
Yeah. And in MOP, me and Carl kind of lost touch after Kata for a while, and then in MOP, I think like a little bit after TOT launched, got back in touch, saying what's up and all that kind of shit, and we're kind of challenging each other for fucking heroic TOT. I remember that. You're like, oh, dude, did you get this boss yet? No. Like, you suck, dude. Get that boss already.
So you guys were in different
And,
guilds at the time?
He was on a different server. We still had each other on Real ID.
Yeah.
But he was on Illidan and I was on Skullcrusher.
Yeah. Illidan It's full of assholes.
Right?
Isn't that right, Zack?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's an understatement, but yeah. And I don't remember how it came, but eventually I told Carl I would server transfer my shaman Cowstriker, who was on Illidan, over to Skullcrusher to help him in DB, which wasn't really helping. My gear was complete shit and all that, so I came in for...
You weren't good enough to carry yourself through 470 or whatever gear?
No, bro. I was getting one-shot by everything.
Yeah, he was. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
he came from... He was playing a lock, and then he went to a Resto Shami, and it was just like... Yeah. Not done anything to be in the squishiest, you know, so...
That must have been your first introduction with how squishy shamans are, Carl.
Yeah, I guess. Danny was in that group, too, so we had another shaman. She would die a lot.
Yep.
So...
Damn shamans.
Yeah, it's interesting tier for shamans for sure. That Ankh comes in handy, I guess.
So you joined Destiny's Bane as a Resto Shaman, and you've been with Carl ever since?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's right. You were definitely in Mythic before I was. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So, I guess now's as good time as any. Let's talk about shamans, since we seem to be rolling in shamans lately. So,
oh boy.
We've
just
switched
a little.
So excited.
Just a little bit. We're back in 10-man, doing real well. We've killed Siegecrafter and Paragons, working on Garrosh. But, our regular group for quite a while now has been 4 or 5 shamans out of 10 people, which, not entirely sure how that happened, but that's where we are right now. So, I guess that's what we went to work with. So,
we're just slowly rotating through the classes.
But we will never be filled with mages or hunters. If
no
I have anything
mages.
to do with it.
Well, we started with hunters.
That was before me, and then I came in, and you
and it was
suddenly
warlocks.
got censored and kicked all the hunters out.
And then we did warriors for a little bit.
We did do warriors.
Now we're on shamans. I'm surprised druids. Yeah.
I think I would rather
me too.
everything else but shamans.
Really? Not a fan of
honest.
shamans, huh?
Well, it's just, I don't know.
They're
A lot
super
of them- a
RNG
lot of
on
them-
DPS.
They are.
And they're squishy.
That and some, I feel like some of them don't know how to play, like, defensive-wise.
Yeah, shamans do seem to have an issue with dying a lot. I think Ankh spoils them all.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because they do have a lot of defensives.
So what defensives do you regularly use? You've got, like, the tier 1 talents.
Yeah, Astral Shift, and
Is that the one you use? You use Astral Shift?
I use Astral Shift, yeah. Because it's like a 40% reduction
It is pretty good. It's pretty
on
much
like a
tank cooldown.
2-minute cooldown, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty much a tank cooldown.
Yeah. And then Shamanistic Rage, which is amazing because it's like a 20 percent, and it's only on a 1-minute cooldown.
Yep. Although that's actually affected by Assurance of Consequence, so it gets even lower.
Oh, really?
That's pretty OP.
For enhancement.
Well, at least for edgy users, not for
Yeah.
LAs,
Head Shaman
unfortunately.
should be fucking beast then.
Yeah, I know.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, especially when
Like-
you lift it for the Dispel. Yeah.
Yeah. Like on Paragons, I had a cooldown up for every aim, and it was just
Every one of
between every one of them. Every between Shamanistic Rage and Astral Shift.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever use the Primal Elementalist with the Earth Elemental channel for a defensive?
Yeah, when I do Resto.
Okay. Because that's like 10% for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Not bad. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's really good. But I only use that when I'm Resto healing.
Okay. So, I played a shaman. That was my first character, was an enhancement shaman. Way back in Burning Crusade, when leveling an enhancement shaman consisted of auto-attack something until you crit, and then you cast 1 shock, and then you keep auto-attacking until you crit.
Yeah.
Because your shock spells took like half of your mana unless you got the shamanistic focus proc. I don't know how I survived it, but I did. You didn't even get the cool ability, like Wind Fury was the key ability for enhancement shamans. You didn't get that till 30. Your level 30 talent was parrying. You got dual wield at level 40. You got Storm Strike at like level 45. The first however many levels was just brutally bad. Ugh.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know anything about shamans. It's like back way when.
Yeah, you got it spoiled, man. When they overhauled things, they made it so much easier.
I've heard shamans recently complaining a lot about no overhaul on the totem system because apparently it's old and they're extremely mad that they still have a lot of buttons to click.
It's not as bad as it once was.
Well, yeah.
Back when I played a shaman, back in my day, I had to spend 4 globals just casting the totems before I could actually start DPSing.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And they didn't move with me, so I had to do it every time we went somewhere else. Violet Hold was a nightmare.
Oh, that's brutal.
Boy, Violet Hold sucks.
Yeah. That was fun. And then shamans had threat issues too, because they'd crit a lot, and crits generated bonus threat, so I'd constantly pull off tanks and just die.
Right.
So
Different game back then.
It was. Although shamans still die a lot, just not from pulling off tanks.
That's, yeah.
Except on Siegecrafter.
Yeah, this is also... And necessarily die, just take a stack, and then...
And then screw up the entire pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before it even starts.
So we had an interesting issue with, on our Paragon's progression, we had an issue with having so many shamans. The strategy for Paragons, the first 3 guys out, are Skier, Recall, and Hisek. And Skier does the blood thing, where the bloods come out from the sides and will heal, whatever. And Recall's not important to this story. So the strategy is you get Recall low enough that when the first set of bloods come out, which is almost immediately, they'll head straight for Recall and ignore Skier, because Skier is the one we actually want to kill. So we get Recall low enough that the bloods go to him, and then we switch full DPS to Skier and kill him before the second set of bloods come out. Well, shamans are inherently a very RNG-reliant class, both specs, because enhancement is highly reliant on crits and Wind Fury and the 4-set tier bonus procs and all kinds of things to get their proper deep damage off, and Elemental is reliant on their Mastery procs and their Lava Surge procs and all those other kind of procs just going off nonstop. So we had an issue where sometimes we would kill Skier long before he even cast his second Bloodletting ability and we had another set of bloods come in. And sometimes, no matter how much CC we got out on the second set of bloods, we just couldn't kill Skier in time.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous, but when half your raid is shamans, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd how RNG reliant they are, especially considering that we were used to having a bunch of warlocks and warriors who are not RNG reliant.
Yeah.
At least not as much.
Yep.
I don't know, is there a lot of RNG in Resto?
Kinda, I guess.
Like Chain Heal, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, Chain Heal could sometimes... It sometimes pisses me off.
Yeah, I bet. I played a Resto Shaman in Dragon Soul, so...
Yeah.
I mean, even back then, the rotation was mostly cast Healing Rain, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Resto Shaman, though.
You love it because it's simple.
But, calm down. Alright, even though, like, more than half of it is smart heals...
Uh-huh.
It's still fun, alright?
That's an issue I have with it. I would enjoy it a whole lot more if I felt like the decisions I was making meant more. I feel like when I play a Resto Shaman, my decisions are irrelevant because 60 to 80% of my healing is smart healing, which have absolutely no impact on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
As long as I use Healing Stream Totem on cooldown and I put Healing Rain in the right spot, then that's pretty much it.
Yep.
I was just thinking about, and I was actually talking with James about this the other day, how many shamans and druids might keep the legendary cloak because of the smart heal that it gives. The overhealing turns into smart healing.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if they'll keep that for warlords, because that would be interesting.
That's a good
I mean,
question.
that's already a beast cloak for...
Right, they're going to have to do
Resto.
something special with cloaks.
Yeah.
Because Resto...
Warlords.
Resto's overhealing is ridiculous.
We
Right.
already know that the cloaks are going to be useful all the way up until, like, heroic dungeons, possibly the first raid tier.
That's what I'm thinking. They somehow have to make stats mean that much more, or do something so that those cloaks won't be fucking ridiculously OP.
That's an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll probably still see a lot of druids and shamans with them in the first raid tier.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard to replace it because that proc is really good for those hot-based healers.
And then it'd be dumb if somebody was like making an alt and had to go back and get their
Uh,
their cloak
by
from
the time-
last
by the time
expansion.
by the time they got it, the new tier would be out.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be something to think about.
Yeah, that is. I think all our healers have it, so hopefully we'll be okay there. But
Well, their alts is what I'm talking about, though.
yeah, that's true.
And make a huge difference. And the tank cloaks, I mean, they could be extremely useful for
Well,
certain.
not for me.
too.
'Cause
Well,
I'm
that's
awesome,
true.
and I'm a Death Knight, and I can die like 4 times. You're right, though. Those procs could be really good. The DPS ones will be easy to invalidate. I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. So it'll be interesting. Maybe they'll just say, no, the cloak doesn't proc anymore.
Yeah, maybe they could
At
just say it
level
doesn't
100.
isn't
That'd be
effective
mean.
for anyone above
That
X
wouldn't
level.
be- oh, I mean, that would make sense. Like,
That's essentially what they do with the belt buckles. Every time there's a new tier, they make a new belt buckle and say doesn't
Oh, yeah.
work for this this above this item level.
yeah. Oh, well, that would make sense then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something they could do. Kind of heavy-handed, but I guess it would work.
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
Well,
I
all right.
think-
Let's go down that road just a little bit more because I
Okay.
just had a thought.
okay.
They're going to be squishing items to have what, like 20 agility and
I don't know offhand.
30
what the stats
stamina
are.
on them or something? Because
Something like that.
if they do something like that, then what's to prevent somebody from using like a Thunder Fury?
Well, I
Do
believe
they squish that too?
I believe it's all getting squished.
So Thunder Fury is going to have like 1 agility on it or 1 strength. Like,
I think I remember them saying
Well, Thunder Fury only
like-
has like 9 agility on it, or something like
it was
that.
in the 20s.
I
like
don't
people
think
will
so.
still be able to solo like MC and
Yeah.
Right,
Well, they're
but how's
putting-
the gear going to work? That's what I'm curious about. Because if they're going back to, like Wrath of the Lich King levels on gear, then the legendaries from like Wrath of the Lich King are going to be extremely valuable. So
I'm
they-
assuming
I'm
they're
pretty
going to
sure
squish it
squishing
all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're squishing everything. I know that they're squishing
mean-
level 90 stuff and level 100
I mean,
stuff.
that just wouldn't make sense.
I mean, I
Like,
get that, but at a certain point, like the stuff below it's not going to get squished all that much, and some of the stuff might be viable from older expansions. Which
I mean, some of it might be
I'm sure they've done something.
competitive, but
but I don't know what it is. So
I don't know. The only ones that really have an issue there are the legendaries, and even then, it's really only going to be like the Cataclysm ones might have stats to compare, even if they don't do a very good job on the.
yeah,
So, Fangs of the Father and Dragon Wrath are the really only real issues there.
yeah,
So I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be that hard for them just to tune those appropriately.
probably.
I don't see like Valonir or Shadowmourne coming back.
yeah.
I mean, let's hope not, but
Yeah.
because that would force guilds to go back and farm that shit.
At least it's soloable now.
Yeah, that's true. Go
Most
get your own
of it, anyway.
Shadowmourne.
What was that?
Go get your own Shadowmourne.
Yeah. Well, you still need like 6 or 7 people to do that because you have to bite 3 people in one fight.
Oh,
in
right,
Lanavel. Although I did discover you can skip Valithria Dreamwalker through some clever use of walls that aren't really there.
Hmm.
And being an engineer, because, engineering master race.
It's definitely interesting.
So
I'm
I didn't
curious
mention
on what
it.
they're going to do.
I didn't mention it earlier, but today, Siegecrafter is dead, so he's not joining us. Thok, he's a great healer, but he's declined our recruitment. But today we've got an Amber Parasite, because we all love those little buggers. I'm sure everyone in our raid has probably eaten a couple dozen of them by now. So
Well, we should mention they are also dead, and we are on Garage.
they are also dead. We have killed the Amber Parasites enough times that they've stopped respawning, I guess.
Yeah.
We are working on Garrosh. The Amber Parasite's dead, so we celebrate their... I would guess they'd be delicious. Do you think they'd be delicious? They're like...
To an Amber
rockworms.
Scorpion, they must
to
be.
an Amber Scorpion, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Dinner.
That's right. Now we got to worry about the Jade Serpent.
Screw the Jade Serpent.
I hate that so much.
Anyway, so that's... So we were just talking about the squish, and I think it was Celestalon just recently said that they're going to be doing something interesting to tanks in the beta. apparently right now, all of the tanks in the Warlords beta are incredibly overpowered. And they're going to have to be adjusting pretty much everything to get tanks to be less overpowered. So, he gave some details, but pretty much there's just a flat nerf to all tanks. They did things like lower the amount of stamina you get from tank form, reduce the duration or the damage reduction of our tank cooldowns. They did all kinds of things. For Blood Death Knight specifically, they removed the bonus stamina that you get just for being Blood Stance, or being Blood Spec. They lowered the stamina from Blood Spec, so I'll be having a whole lot less health. And the new proc, Shadow of Death, which causes my death coils to increase my maximum health, they reduced that from 5% to 2% or something like that.
Yeah.
So
not surprising, honestly.
Yeah.
We were looking at those before, and we were like, man, we're going to be OP.
Yeah, we were watching some of the beta streams, and we were seeing Guardian Druids and Death Knights getting, 3 or 4 or 5 times the health of their raid members.
Yeah.
Which we kind of already have, but, with the squish, you'd think it wouldn't be that noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah, and Frost Mages are looking OP on the damage meter still.
Yeah. They still haven't done... I don't think they've really done full damage tuning passes, but...
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Frost Mages were still good at the beginning of Mists, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They could do the thing that Warriors do, where one spec tends to be good at the beginning, and the other one tends to be good at the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Frost picked up a lot towards, like, Toes and Heart of Fear and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't around for that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Because I think in, like, Wagashan Vaults and all that, most mages were playing Fire.
Mm. I can see it.
Yeah, that's kind of been...
Go on.
I was just going to say that's kind of been an argument all the way up, because I know there were mages playing Fire in TOT, and, especially for some fights in Siege, and then there are other mages who just swear that Fire's just god-awful, so...
And Arcane sits thankfully forgotten.
Right.
And no one misses
Or
it.
Arcane.
It's like sub. It's theoretically the highest, but you have to stand in one place. Just be a turret.
And there
Except
are no
Siege
fights that
is-
do that.
Nope.
I kind of like the idea of Arcane, of managing your mana efficiently.
It's a pretty
But-
cool idea, yeah, but it hasn't worked.
I feel like Destro Warlock does it better than Arcane Mages, and Destro Warlock still barely does it.
Oh, I haven't worried about my mana at all as a Destro Warlock.
Yeah.
When you're in a lower gear level, your mana regen
Yeah.
scales with haste, but when you're in a lower gear level, you kind of have to worry about your mana a little bit
Yeah.
and time your Chaos bolts appropriately, but not anymore.
Nope. Only if you're spamming Fell Flame.
Which, honestly, that just kind of says something about mana management for Arcane and how completely irrelevant it is.
Well, it's supposed to be a thing now, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
obviously...
They're completely revamping the level 90 talents for mages, which
Right.
are the big offenders for the mana thing.
And no more Spirit, so...
I don't think mages should have spirit anyway.
I agree.
No.
So,
Interesting.
how do you think this squish is going to affect us, Carl? The tank squish, specifically. The tank squish on top of the stat squish.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I got to relearn how to tank anyway.
Yeah.
So it's probably good that I wasn't in beta, because I would have been mad. But yeah, like, I started tanking in Mists, and obviously that's not indicative of how tanks are meant to be at all. Just pull everything, AoE, and laugh.
Mhm.
Bust a cooldown if the healer sucks or something like that. But
Use
otherwise,
them all every
just,
second and a half.
yeah, you just spam my rage jumping abilities the entire time and just laugh. And top the meters and make everyone jealous.
hmm
So clearly it's going to be totally different. But, and you've tanked before, so you probably understand a little better how it's going to affect things.
I also don't play an OP tanking class that actually doesn't have to worry about tanking
Right now,
right now.
but in beta it looks, Warlords, it looks like it's going to be pretty good, so. Blood, that is.
I'm excited. So we
Yeah.
were looking at some of the streams and trying to figure out how much damage people were taking from things like soaking the orbs on Tectus, and we were seeing that it was doing maybe a third of the tank's healths at the time. I guess all that knowledge is completely irrelevant now.
For the most part.
Lovely.
Yeah. So PTR is basically what we're gonna have to use to learn all our stuff.
Yep.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, dude, PTR. I've never actually done a PTR, so
I haven't either.
it'll be fun to get on, test some
So
shit
fun,
out.
dude.
Yeah, for sure. Man, the beta though, like that's such a crazy advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you see from like trying to play catch up this entire tier, watching a video and actually doing that is two totally different things.
It is, especially in the later fights. We had to discover so much on our own, on like
Yeah.
Paragons and Siegecrafter and Thok even.
Yep. Yeah, those were fights we almost kind of did our own, just random thing.
Mm-hmm. The videos told us one way to do it, but they just couldn't cover all the information that we needed to know.
Yep.
So, I guess that'll be useful experience for PTR testing.
So my point was there's nothing like actual testing and doing the stuff. So these guilds that are in there, getting people, you know, to know the fights already, that's such a huge advantage. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of seems like the higher end guilds are ones that get beta access. You know,
It
like
seems to be the
obviously.
more
Yeah, it's kinda
well-known people
bullshit.
are getting it.
Well, yeah, it is bullshit, but that just means we're gonna have to perform well and force
I have
ourselves in
faith
there.
that we can learn exceptionally fast.
I think
I
so
think we
too.
can.
PTR.
I think so too.
I think we can.
I was
Pretty good.
I watched Korgath a little bit yesterday on Mythic.
Oh yeah?
A few streams on that, and it looks really, really cool. They, I don't know if you've seen the heroic fight yet of
Is
it.
Korgath the one with the fire dogs?
The Tigers, where with the stadium where you get thrown up and you got to clear out the stadium up top.
I thought that was,
It's got the
Kargat,
four-
Bladefist.
Yeah,
No, I
it's got
didn't see that.
it's got the. There's 4 like fire skull things,
Hmm.
and so in Mythic or in heroic, there's 4 tiger pens or cages or whatever that open up during the fight, and if you walk down there, you get one shot. You get eaten.
Okay.
But the tigers don't move. In Mythic, one tiger comes out at a time, and you got to kite him around the room while you're fighting, and he
Oh.
one-shots whoever he hits.
Oh.
And if he fixates and all that. So
He fixates too.
he fixates as well as the boss,
Huh.
and there's 4 of these like fire totem things that stick out of the ground. They activate, and once you run, like the boss fixates too, and you got to run the boss through the totem thing to like stop him from fixating.
Huh.
But that deactivates the fire totem, and so you can run the tiger through it too. But that also deactivates the totem. So you have to have enough totems up and figure out, okay, am I going to deactivate it with the boss or the tiger? Or, you know, what's the bigger threat at this point? And
Huh.
there's a lot of interesting stuff that's going to go into it for sure.
That sounds a lot like Atramedes Soft and Rage, where you had where you had the limited number of gongs, and you could only use
Oh.
one each time.
I love that fight.
I did. I loved Atramedes. I loved Blackwing Descent overall.
Yeah, it was a good raid.
It was.
There's a
that
lot
sounds
going on
interesting.
for first boss though,
Yeah.
so it's going to be cool.
Stampeding Roar will be useful.
That's for
I
sure.
wonder if Bop blocks the Tiger kill.
If what does?
Bop?
Bob? Oh, I don't know.
Probably
That'd be
not,
interesting
but
to know,
if it worked,
but-
that would be good to know.
So the guild I was watching ended up having like 3 tigers up at once,
Oh,
and like
man.
there's nothing you can do,
Oh.
and
I
the
hope they
tigers
can
have a
be
shit ton of
slowed.
health.
They can be
So
slowed, right?
I don't know. I just
Huh.
saw people trying to kite them, and then they would just one shot them and go on to somebody else who was unsuspecting, you know. So it was a shit show.
That sounds really fun to set up.
Yeah,
and
there's
It
organize.
does, yeah.
A lot of shit going on.
That's
so
the
it's
one
gonna
that
be
you
interesting.
have. They have to manage the how much the crowd likes you too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, you like get a damage buff the longer you go without taking damage, and then if you ever do one of the mechanics wrong, the crowd will like you less, and it'll reset your damage buff, or something to that effect.
I didn't really see that in there. I don't know if they changed it, but the crowd, like, they send the boss jumps to the middle of the room at one point, and he'll fling like the 5 closest people over his head into the crowd,
Mhm.
and you have to go through and like kill everyone in the crowd. You get 30 seconds or something like that, and you got to kill the entire crowd if you can. So the more the more you kill, the better. And I think what they do is they spawn and they start throwing like missiles or like bombs, and you have to get out of the bombs, and it's a stacking debuff that does more and more. Like I was watching, and the bombs, they don't do a whole lot of damage, but obviously if they keep stacking, you keep standing it, you know. So, and then there's more and more and more over the course of the fight.
That sounds
So
really fun.
yeah, you got to have a really good crowd team. They were saying like combat rogues, warriors possibly. Anything with good AoE is good up there because you pull a bunch of them and try and AoE them down. So
But
Be
enhanced
interesting.
shamans would do well.
rep pallies.
Rep pallies, yeah.
So
Frosted DKs.
yeah, that's what they said. Frost DK is awesome. So
It's going to be weird with
Sounds
DKs
fun.
actually being not terrible.
yeah, well they weren't at the start of MOP from what I heard.
They haven't been at any time except the end of MOP.
Uh, yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet from Final Boss today. He said that Operator Throgar or whatever, the train boss on Mythic, is a really fun fight.
Really?
Which it better damn well be because I want the train boss to be the best boss of all time. Just
Have you
because
seen it yet?
I haven't seen the videos. I've seen the,
Oh, okay.
the dungeon journal for it. And
It's just avoiding trains. It's not
well,
like you're on a train, but still it's cool.
it
A
has
lot of movement.
it was
lot
data
of-
mined as the name train boss, so I expect it to be awesome. That's really all there is to it.
All right. I like the Hans and Franz fight. That looks really awesome.
The one with the two ogres, one of which does the whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
on like
sorry.
a conveyor belt with things smashing down on you from the
Oh yeah, that one. That one
I think
looks
it's
cool
going
too.
to be a really good raid overall.
It does
I
seem like
agree.
it.
It looks really good, yeah.
A lot of those are in Blackrock Foundry though. The arena guy is in High Mall, which is the
Mhm.
first raid.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you guys see that there's a scenario thing with like 12 players going into the arena where you fight Kargat Bladefist? Except instead of being like a PvE scenario for 3 people, it's like a 12-player free-for-all PvP.
Huh.
Hmm.
Wow, that sounds pretty sweet.
It
That'll be
does.
messy.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I bet Blood DKs are awesome in that.
Oh, man. Better than bears. I'll get you.
Bears can be really hard to kill, gotta say. That's gonna be really fun. I look forward to cheesing that incredibly all the time. I've done enough World PvP as a Blood DK now to know that I'm pretty much unkillable by anything except an equally geared Warlock and Mage. So I look
Nice.
forward to not so much killing people, but just not dying.
It's
Just
exciting.
make it go for fucking 5 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
just make them fall asleep and
Make
then
them
kill
hate their lives.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible if there was another tank spec there, though. The tank mirror matches are not the most interesting thing in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so... Oh, we have a new background. Again. This is, this one was put in by Swarley, and,
Swarlston Heston?
Swarlston Heston. Yep, he made this for us. It looks really fucking fantastic.
Woo!
He,
Yeah, it looks
Nice
good.
work.
he
That's the one with
included-
me and you on it, right?
Yeah, it is. That's
That's cool.
that's Carl in his bear form using Swipe on one side, and that's my Death Knight Grave Maw on the other side. God, we look awesome. And that whole thing just looks fantastic. He told me he was working on an animated version of it, which
Oh,
hopefully
that's
we'll
sick.
have sometime for a nice proper intro. It's gonna look really good.
One episode at a time. We're getting there, right?
We're getting there.
It's gonna look professional.
One day. One day
We'll
I'll
have a
figure out
splash
this
for
shit
Do You
out.
Even Lore, Bro? I'm
Yep.
excited for that.
Speaking of which, let's move right into Do You Even Lore, Bro?
All
Do
right.
You Even Lore, Bro? That's not even a tongue twister. Why couldn't I say that?
Words.
So today, I wanted to talk about sort of my favorite theory, which is basically that the main character of Warcraft is High Overlord Saufang, and his life is fucking terrible. So, get this. Okay, so Saufang was one of the orcs on Draenor, long before they came through the Dark Portal. He was one of the orcs, the first orcs who drank the demon blood, along with most of the other orcs, apart from some of the Frostwolf. He was part of the near genocide of the Draenei. He was in the strike force that originally deceived the Draenei to get them to reveal the location of their refuge city so that the orcs could go in there and slaughter them all, men, women, and children. He was part of that assault. Therefore, he probably had something to do with the Path of Glory, the great road on Hellfire Peninsula that's paved with the skulls of Draenei, the skeletons of the Draenei. He came through the Dark Portal, was part of the First War, in which the orcs did an almost genocide on the humans and took the kingdom of Azeroth, later known as the Kingdom of Stormwind. He was part of the Second War, in which the orcs were attacked by the Alliance of Lordaeron and lost. He saw his entire people become enslaved by the humans in their internment camps. He was part of Thrall's rebellion, in which the orcs broke free from the orcs and traveled to Durotar, where they set up their own kingdom. He was part of the Third War, in which the demons invaded, in which the Scourge came to life and ravaged not so much his people, but the rest of the world. And I'm not even done yet. This guy has seen his people turn into terrible monsters. He's helped committed genocide, presumably partly against his will, or not so much in his right state of mind. He's been enslaved. He's watched his people be enslaved. He's seen his leaders make terrible decisions. He's been part of a rebellion. He started a new city in a hard land, essentially a desert.
God damn.
And I'm not
It's
even
brutal.
done yet. We still haven't even
Yeah.
gotten to World of Warcraft yet. That's just the first 3 RTSs. So, around the time that the World of Warcraft starts, we've got the War of the Ancients novel, in which Thrall sends Broxagar, High Overlord Saurfang's brother, to investigate an interesting magical disturbance of some sort, in which we covered this somewhat last episode, in which Brox goes back in time to the War of the Ancients and hits Sargeras really hard, and he dies. So, when Brox, somehow or another, they never see Brox again. Saurfang, presumably, says goodbye to his brother Broxagar, and never sees him again, because Brox actually died 10,000 years before he was even born. So, his brother goes missing, no idea where he went, presumes he's dead. We have the events of Vanilla Warcraft, where nothing really that exciting happens, but he's there. He has something to do with trying to take out Onyxia and Nefarian. He saw the Kingdom of Stormwind be infiltrated by Onyxia, who posed herself as a countess and tricked the kingdom, the king Varian, into doing some stupid stuff. And then we have the Burning Crusade, when the demons who enslaved his people show up again, and he gets to go back and see the remnants of his people still on Draenor, some of them even more slaves than they ever were before, the Fel Orcs. Presumably he knew some of those orcs. He gets to help kill them. He works really hard in that war against the demons, and then we've got the Wrath of Lich King come in which Saurfang fights off the Scourge again, and in this he even fields his own son against the Scourge, who was the commander of the orc forces at the Wrathgate, in which Varimathras the Dreadlord and the undead alchemist, whose name I forgot, betray both the Horde and the Alliance, and hit both sides with the Plague, which kills them all, including High Overlord Saurfang's son. So he witnessed the death. He witnessed, after all of that, in the middle of a war, he witnesses the death of his own son by betrayal of those he presumably trusted. And then, when we finally get to the assault on Icecrown Citadel itself, High Overlord Saurfang is horrified to discover that his son is not truly dead. He's back as a Death Knight, forcibly serving the Lich King, This is the the Deathbringer Saufang fight in ICC. That's High Overlord Saufang's son. He helps to. He is nearly killed by his own undead son before he helps to kill his own undead son and see his son die a second time.
God damn.
Wow.
And then once the Lich King is safely defeated and his son is laid to rest finally, the cataclysm happens. So the entire world is destroyed. He sees all the places he knows and loves after his own home in Draenor was destroyed, be destroyed yet again by more crazy forces. He presumably does stuff in the Cataclysm events that I can't remember, but shortly after that, the Mists of Pandaria expansion comes out. Saufang was offered the title of War Chief, but turned it down. So Thrall went to his second choice, Garrosh. So, in one way, it's possible for Saufang to view himself as responsible for things that have happened to the Horde since then, since his one choice precipitated most of the events in Mists of Pandaria, in which he watched his people yet again be driven down a path of darkness, and he sees his leaders yet again make terrible decisions, and his people yet again enslave themselves for the sake of power.
Damn.
And the guy's not even dead yet.
What a life.
So,
Damn.
That's ridiculous.
that is one of my favorite, I guess you could call them pet theories about the Warcraft universe, is that the true main character is not you and me, it's not any of the main characters, it's not Thrall, it's not anyone other than High Overlord Saufang. And God, does his life suck.
That's an interesting theory. Yeah, that makes for some good drama and story.
Imagine a movie for that.
I know.
There'd be
It
no
would be
upside.
a great movie. It would
There'd
go
be
on
no
forever.
happiness.
No, there's no happiness in that guy's life.
It'd be real life.
Yeah.
That's what real life is, man. Everything fucking sucks. And
I
then you
don't-
die.
I don't know how many people have been part of, 2 or 3 different Holocausts. So,
Ugh.
yeah. Poor Saufang.
Right?
That's also one of the reasons that he's one of my favorite characters, and he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it definitely builds some character right there.
So, the next time someone asks you who the best character in Warcraft lore is, you all now know that the answer is only High Overlord Saufang.
All right. Remember that.
Dude.
Let's throw that right up here.
Yep.
All right.
I think that was one of the longer Do You Even Lore Bros.
That was a good one, though.
Worth it, dude.
Yeah.
That was interesting as hell.
Mm-hmm. Poor guy. So,
Finally get to the meat and potatoes of
that's right.
things.
We're finally going to get to the
Damn.
big topic here. So, when we first did Mythic, when we first started raiding, we were a 10-man guild. We got through... We almost killed Spoils once in Heroic 10-man. Then we switched to 25-man, did the entire reprogression thing, got all the way through killing Thok, and was working on Siegecrafter. And then we went back to 10-man. So we did all that reprogression, killed Spoils and Thok for the first time on 10-man, did Siegecrafter on 10-man, did Paragons on 10-man, and now we're doing Garrosh on 10-man. And if there's anything we've learned, that 10 and 25-man raiding is a wildly different experience. And all three of us have had some experience on
Yeah.
both ends of that. And we can probably talk about it for hours, but we just wanted to share a little bit, maybe 15, 20 minutes worth of the things we've learned from 10 versus 25-man raiding.
Yeah. What's the best way to go through? Should we do fight by fight or just highlight things that we've noticed that stood out?
Well, we should probably start with the logistics side of things, honestly.
That's true. Holy shit. 25 man. Nuts. Trying to fill all the spots and keep track of everybody and make sure people show up on time, and that's basically the truth. Is it's more of babysitting and configuring people, and that's why the fights are maybe a little bit easier. And a lot of it is learning just when to rotate raid cooldowns, because you have so many more of them.
Especially on some fights like Thok. On 25-man Thok, we had a a Google spreadsheet where we had we need this person to use this cooldown at this time, and this cooldown
That
at
was the best way.
this time. And that was the only way we could get it. We couldn't get it with any other way because there was just too much to try to figure out at once.
That was a great way, though.
It was
Worked
incredibly
great.
effective, but it's a lot of micromanagement. And then we come back in 10-man and do Heroic Thok again, and we decide, fuck it, we're going to YOLO it, and we, like, one-shot it.
Yep.
And I think we only had 3 healers for it, too.
Mhm.
25-man, we used, like, 7 or 8.
Yep.
It was...
Fun stuff.
It's just the logistics side of things alone makes it completely different. I
Yeah.
think,
Plus, we had to have 3 groups in
Mhm.
10-man versus 2 in 25-man. And
Yep,
Yeah,
just
that's
because
like-
of the way that the
was
transition
interesting.
is detected.
You want to talk about Immersius?
Oh, Mercius.
Yeah.
So,
That is
some
the
of the
worst fight
fight,
on
apart
10-man.
from the logistics alone, some of the fights are just completely different in 10-man and 25-man. Some of them are harder, some of them are easier. Easily the most noticeable offender is Immersius, because Immersius is a bastard in 10-man and a joke in 25-man. And the reason for that is because of his debuff. He uses Swelling Corruption. This is the main difference between normal and heroic. And with it, he'll put 50... Is it 50? Yeah,
Yeah, it's
50
50.
stacks of a debuff on himself. And if you attack him with any single target ability, you'll get a stack of this debuff off of him and onto you. And it's a dot that ramps up based on your stacks, and when it times out, an ad spawns. Well, there's 50 stacks in 10-man, and you'd think that there would be 2.5 times that in 25-man, so you'd have 125 stacks. No, there's 50 stacks.
Yep.
So,
Complete bullshit.
yep. Now, the damage that this dot does, it scales exponentially based on the number of stacks you have, so 2 stacks does more than twice the damage of 1 stack, and so on and so forth. Which means that once you get to about 3 and 4 stacks, it's going to hurt really, really hard. Well, in 25-man, it's pretty much impossible to get that many stacks, because they're gone as soon as they get there. When you've got 25 people wailing on it, they each get 2 stacks, done. That's it. In 10-man, people
not
can
fair.
easily hit 5 stacks and then just die, if
Yep.
they aren't careful.
Plus,
So-
you have a lot more master spells in 25-man.
Mm-hmm. You got more dispels available just due to having more healers. Plus, you probably have more priests. It's not hard to have a 10-man with 0 priests, and kind of hard to have a 25-man with 0 priests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty common for somebody to just drop dead
Yeah.
in 10
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
fucking drop dead. Like,
Plus, you've got
Look-
less raid cooldowns for the convergence. They all come back together.
Same amount of ads.
Same amount of ads. It's harder to get equal coverage of the area in 10-man than it is in 25-man.
yeah.
Not
Because I
fun.
mean,
That
10
fight
man,
is
they all have to run out, take
Yep.
care of shit a lot faster than they do in 10 man or in 25 man, and
Yep.
run back, get back quick, or they probably gonna die without a defensive.
In
Yep.
25-man, there's more people to cover for less than optimal ways of doing things.
Plus
but
a
in
healer
10-man,
in every part.
Yeah, you can spread the healers evenly in 25-man, and you can't do that in 10-man just because there's not enough range. The arena's
Yeah.
too big. So Mercius, a right bastard in 10-man. He's not that hard compared to the later bosses, but God, he's so much harder on 10-man than he is in 25-man. 25-man, he's a joke. It's practically no different than normal. But it's a very different fight on 10-man, normal versus heroic.
Yep.
You want to talk about, who's the next big offender?
Nazgrim?
Nazgrim, probably.
Well, Norshan was a bit of an issue.
Yeah, Norshan was
10-man, it's
It's a
just,
little
it's all
different.
coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Because-
yeah.
25-man, we actually YOLO called it. 10-man, we were like, okay, you go down at this time, and we had it all set up before the fight. 25-man, we're just like, all right, here's our first 3. After that, we're just going to call out who goes down next. So,
Kind of like the inverse of Thok.
yep. Yeah, that was probably not the best way to do it, but it was the easiest with 25. I didn't feel like setting stuff up every single time.
Mm-hmm. It worked,
And, yeah.
eventually.
And
I think
then,
there's
Plus,
too much-
plus, in 25-man, you've got, 14 golden orbs you can use to go down, but in 10-man,
Yeah.
you have, 3.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of ridiculous. We should probably back up a little bit to protectors, because remember, in 10-man, we had to transition all 3.
We only
for
did that
first kill.
one time.
We only did
Right.
that once, with 2 healers.
Yeah.
We
And
transitioned
I
all three
said,
of them
fuck
at
that
one
after
time.
Yeah, right.
I don't
And
know
then-
how we did that, but it was awesome.
I don't either.
And then Shaw, 25 man, we just figured out that a mirror 10-man strat would be our best option.
Yeah, we went through a lot of strategies on Shaw, trying to figure out how we could execute all the things right. Tried to adapt some other strategies from other guilds, and eventually we just decided that we just took our 10-man strategy and doubled it. We just
Yeah, because
we made it symmetrical.
really the only thing different about that on 25 men versus 10 is all of the
Yeah, you have 4 prisons instead of 2.
yeah 4 prisms.
And
Plus- I
2
think that's the only-
manifestations.
And 2
so-
manifestations. So we just kind of the 10-man strategy. We had most of the raid on Gorehowl and the tanks on the entrance. So on 25-man, we just rotated it and then doubled it. So we had a tank on each side and a DPS group on each side, and they were both facing the walls, with Gorehowl here and the entrance here. This makes sense to me. It probably doesn't to those of you watching the video, and I apologize for that. But it makes sense to me, and that's what's important.
Well, if the door you come in is north,
Yeah.
we would be on the south side for 10-man. We would be on west and east for 25-man.
And it's literally the same strategy. We just doubled it and did a symmetrical mirror thing. And it worked, after all kinds of other strategies didn't, and were incredibly complicated.
I think we one-shot Gallicrass every single time on 25-man, too.
We did, because
I don't think we ever wiped on it.
in 10-man, Gallicrass is pretty unforgiving of mistakes at all. But in 25-man, it's a joke. It's barely a different fight from normal.
Yeah.
It's probably like the easiest fight in the whole raid
It is, especially
Yeah.
in 25-man. It's even
Yeah.
easier.
compared to like spoils maybe. I don't know.
So, Juggernaut is about the same.
Roughly, we use the same strat, the cheese strat.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't
and
think
then
we did anything different.
that fight on 25 makes a huge difference, because if you have enough, you can kill him before the second knockback.
Mhm.
So we started doing that. But then that gave us issues on shamans with the extra DPS.
Yeah, we used the 3-tank 2-group strategy on shamans just because it's so much simpler, and we had an interesting issue where we had so much DPS that we were pushing the bosses into their new phases such that their abilities lined up in really difficult to deal with ways for the hill group. It wasn't that bad for those of us down low, but I don't know exactly how it worked out.
Yeah, well, basically what we were used to was dropping the tombs and then coming back and having time before foul stream. And a lot of the time, if we didn't stop DPS, we'd get foul stream first and then have to drop the tombs like right after. So everybody would be spreading, from foul stream, and then we would have to run out, and it just fucked everyone's heads. And then on top of that, we'd probably get like the wall coming out, and that would just murder people. And
So we had,
So-
in 25-man, we had enough DPS versus 10-man that we could ignore the second siege phase, which made things wildly easier. But then in shamans, we had so much DPS that we were lining up the abilities poorly and dying. So we had to actually lower our DPS to execute shamans effectively, something that we didn't have to do in 10-man. Just do it
Foul
with
Stream
people.
is at the same time as Iron Tomb, at the same time as fucking
Ugh.
Falling Ash. Kaboom, dead.
Mhm.
Yep.
Plus in 10-man, you have to worry about not having a bloodlust for each side.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I think we sort of did in 25-man, but just because our shamans kept dying.
And then Nazgrim.
And then Nazgrim. This fight is even more so than Immersius. This fight is a totally different fight in 10-man versus 25-man. Totally different. And it's not even that the strategy is that different. It's just that the tuning is really, really weird.
Mm-hmm.
In 10-man, we would kill Nazgrim at about this time the 8th wave of ads came out. When we were doing progression. Once we overgeared it, it was even before that. In 25-man, we always go through all 10 waves of ads. I didn't even know that the ads stopped spawning after 10 waves until we got to 25-man, because it's just not relevant for 10-man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of ridiculous, because in 10-man, it's a really quick, 6 or 7 minute fight. In 25-man, it's like an 11-minute fight, just because the numbers are so much higher, all the
Yeah.
health.
It's crazy. Yeah, I remember seeing Berserk in like 4 minutes, and he's still at 40% health, and I'm like, oh my god, how long have we been doing this shit? You know, and it's just that much longer that you can fuck up on. You know, I can't believe we had so many people die to fucking shockwave on that fight too.
Yeah, plus, I didn't even notice, but there's more fire lines in 25-man than in 10-man.
It's a lot bigger, yeah.
Which I guess makes sense, but...
Well, it makes it that much harder because the space is the same size, and you have more people in that space, and then the fire's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's 10-man's much easier on that one.
Just the difference in fight length in that fight alone is extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's the same fight
Yeah.
each time, but in 10-man it's really easy. It's a quick fight. You get in and you get done. In 25-man, it's just this grueling, long fight that's no fun at all.
Yeah.
And then you get Malkarok.
Oh man, that's not
buddy.
fighting any difficulty.
Yeah. In 10-man, you only get 2 of the swirling pools that you have to get in. 1 for melee, 1 for ranged, right?
3.
3? Whatever.
3, yeah.
Okay, 2 for ranged, 1 for melee.
Mhm.
25-man, you have 6. Right? 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 for melee, 5 for ranged, which is yet another mechanic that's really punishing you for not having more melee than ranged.
Mm-hmm.
But in 25-man, it's kind of brutal just executing all those pools right, because if even one of them goes off, you're probably going to wipe. In 10-man, it's the same way, but there's only 3 of them instead of 6. So there's sort of less or more margin for error, I guess.
Mhm.
You'd think that having twice as many players in 25-man would make dealing with 6 pools easier, but it doesn't. Because, some people just don't get the core concept.
Yeah. Well, plus if you have more than half your raid as melee and there's only 1 pool to cover for them.
Yeah. We had a couple times where we had to have melee watch particular range pools and get out there in time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not easy,
Yeah.
because you only have a couple seconds to get to it.
Yeah.
Especially with the ads.
I feel like it would have been better if they did it 2 melee pools and
2 and 4, it would have
ranged,
made a lot more sense.
It
But
would have.
hey, it is what it is, right?
And then in 10-man heroic, he does the knock-up, and you have 1 ad spawn.
Oh, yeah.
In 25-man, he does the knock-up on 3 people, and you have 3 ads spawn. Well, basic arithmetic will reveal that there's only 2 tanks. So we can only taunt in 2 of them at a time. Usually we can't even do that because we have to get ready to taunt switch soon, so we can't afford to use the cooldown. So you've got 3 ads, all 3 of them have to get into melee in 25-man, so you have to have taunt-capable melee who are watching out for that sort of thing to taunt them in, which is something that none of them are used to doing because none of them tank.
Yeah.
In 10-man, it's a joke to deal with it because I could just grip them all in, but can't do that in 25-man.
Yep. Yeah, that was silly.
Just a different fight.
And then, of course, the 2 tanks trying to soak in 10-man
Oh, yeah.
versus everybody in 25-man. Oh,
In
my
10-man
god.
heroic.
That's a big difference, yeah.
He does the debuff in heroic, where if you still have it when it's dispelled or timed out, it'll explode and do big damage to everyone near you. Well, in heroic, it roots you in place, which in 10-man means that the most effective way of dealing with it is to just have the 2 tanks soak the Blood Rage solo, splitting 1.35 million damage between them on each melee attack, which is hard. You have to time all your cooldowns very particularly down to the second, or you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
In 25-man, however, we discovered that Stampeding Roar will clear the debuff without dispelling it, so you don't take the damage at all. So we could just have everyone stack up, and because we had more than 1 druid, we could just dispel it each time with Stampeding Roar. Which we couldn't do in 10-man because we only had 1 druid.
Pretty awesome.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, right?
Totally
Fun,
different
fun.
fight.
Totally
different.
Yeah. Spoils is basically the same, but it was so much of a DPS check. It's crazy.
And 10-man. Oh, yeah, and Malkarok, too. Malkarok 10-man was a giant DPS check.
Yeah, it
But
was.
25-man, we never had a trouble with DPS at all.
No, not
It was
at all.
all execution.
Yeah. Yeah, Thok. Not much different, honestly.
Well, apart
Except-
from having to
Except
have
that,
the
we didn't
coordination,
have to.
the level of coordination required is pretty significantly different.
Siegecrafter was a totally different strat.
It was. It's not even the same
Yeah.
fight in any sense.
Yeah, different side of the platform and totally different things you're killing on the belt.
Mm-hmm. Deal with all the mechanics in different ways.
Yeah,
A lot
exactly.
less people on the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot less fucking up.
Yeah.
I think it was probably easier on 10 man just because only 1 or 2 people had to do the belts without fucking up instead of 6.
You had to
Yeah.
rely on very few people.
Mm-hmm. Kind of the same issue with Malkarok in the pools.
Yeah.
And then we don't really know about the rest of them yet, but presumably they'd also be rather different fights in
Yeah.
25 man versus 10
I think
man.
so. I feel like Paragon's 25 probably be easier. You got so many
Yeah,
rate
probably.
cooldowns for like Fiery Edge, and you just have everybody spread, and a lot more DPS could help with that too.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah.
could probably afford to have the melee actually melee the boss during Fiery Edge too.
Yeah,
just due to having
exactly.
more heals.
Yep. Yeah, just have 7 heals if you want,
Yeah. Plus,
and then
we had an interesting issue in our 10 man where we had no good execute because we had 5 shamans. So we had a little bit of difficulty killing Skier and Corvin in time just because we didn't get that DPS boost once they got into execute range.
yep,
In 25 man, you're pretty much guaranteed to have it just because you're gonna have a warlock and you're gonna have a warrior.
yep. Oh, and I could see from what we know of the garage fight already, the Temple of Jade Serpent totally different in 10 and 25.
Brutal in 10 man, but I can only imagine it wouldn't be that bad in 25 man just because
Yeah,
you've
just-
got more people to spread around.
Yep, 5 groups, go blow them up, you win.
Yep, 5 groups of 5, got it. But in 10 man, you can't really do 5 groups of 2 because healers can't exactly DPS effectively.
Yep. And melee
Mm.
takes them forever to get there, so.
Yeah, so that's major DPS loss on an already really, really tight DPS check.
Mm-hmm.
Another example of why warlocks are OP.
Yep.
So,
I think
guess-
we'll get it
I guess...
pretty quick.
Oh yeah, we'll get it, no doubt about that. But in conclusion, 25 man and 10 man are wildly different things. All hail the 20 man dream, in which we will no longer have to deal with that bullshit.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be exciting.
It will be.
Yeah, definitely.
We've been treating it coming up as if it's gonna kind of fix a whole lot of the problems we've been facing, and maybe it won't be as good as we expect, but it probably will be a whole lot better than dealing with 10 man and 25 man separately.
Yeah, that's
Well,
for
not till
sure.
it comes, I guess.
Yep, we'll know once it comes out, which will be in a little over a month.
Yay.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, doing Sue's 25 man's or 20 man's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be a whole
Yeah,
new
I'm
experience.
Especially
actually
since-
excited. I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
They're doing all the gear squish changes then and everything too, so you're gonna have a shitload of haste
It's
and
gonna be like a whole new fucking raid.
yeah.
they're getting rid of. Currently, I'm a mitigation spec blood DK, so I've got a shit ton of dodge and parry, which is all gonna go away.
Poor Gunny.
And I've got a whole lot of hit and expertise too, just because I hate stats that punish me for trying to play the game, so I just don't deal with them. But all of my important stats are going to be switched to something else. So I'm going to find myself rolling in a whole bunch of stats that I don't know what to do with anymore. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, that is 10 and 25, man. We could probably go on about it even more, and I'm sure we will again, and probably forever, just because it's been such a hassle trying to deal with it all.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Hey,
Yeah.
once the expansion comes out, we can talk about 10, 25, and 20.
that's right, we can talk about how different 20 man is from 25 and 10 man.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll be
fun.
nice. I guess the moral of the story is fuck Nazgrim. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not hard, but damn is he annoying.
I agree with that 100%.
It's a waste of time.
He is. He really feels like it. And he dropped my heroic Warforged weapon, and I wasn't even there for it.
Oh man, that was funny.
Oh, I remember that. Oh,
So
yeah.
sad.
He hates you, Johnny.
He does. I hate Nazgrim too. I liked him. I liked him in Cataclysm and most of Mop, but you know what? He's betrayed me. With his long ass fight and his stupid weapon. So I think that's gonna about do it for episode 5 of Legends of Mythic.
5 episodes.
Yeah, 5 episodes. We're
Damn.
getting there. We're getting
Yep.
there.
Getting crazy.
I feel like I had something astute, some sort of a really clever closing remark to say, but I forgot. So just remember that I'm a clever person, and take my word on that, because I'm not biased in any sense.
Were we going to talk about Doghouse at all?
Oh yeah, we should probably do that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. You go ahead and do that, Carl.
All right. Well, we had a sponsor meeting yesterday with Doghouse Systems. You can check them out at www.doghousesystems.com, of course. And basically, we're starting a partnership up with them. They're going to give us codes to put on our streams and stuff like that. And when people use those codes, we get money back for the guild and all that kind of thing. And as far as the gaming house, they're going to build us a streaming server computer, I guess you could say. That'll help us, keep the stream up of the house 24/7, so you guys can watch that, and so we can make the documentary and all that kind of stuff. And going forward, we look forward to, building a relationship with them and both making money and having fun and all that good stuff.
So we got our first official partner.
Yep.
Big deal.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Very exciting.
So I guess with that uplifting note, we'll go ahead and end it for episode 5 of Legends of Mythic, which I will think of a title of as I'm uploading it, and it will be something very clever. Actually, I think that will be the title, something very clever. Yes.
I like it.
I like it. I'm so
There we
good.
go.
All right.
So, so once again, guys, I'm John. I'm on Twitter at Gravemaw. Someday, maybe tomorrow, I'll figure out more clever things to say there, and I will continue to think of myself as a clever person.
I am Carl. I am at Mythic Chishan. We also have at Mythic Rating. And Zack, do you have a Twitter yet?
Yeah, bro.
What is it?
At Cowstriker, I am Zack. Did it backwards. What's up?
Brilliant.
Nice. Alright, so thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
It's the Legends of Mythic community show where we talk about things you already know. When we watch Josh backpacking his monitor glow, and maybe wonder if he's not a little bit slow. And then there's Johnny Gravemaw, a moderate fool. Oh, excuse me. I mean the host. He's a tool. But we're not done yet. Here we go. And last but not least, the beautiful beard of Carl Chishan, who's the sexiest bear. So if you're gonna watch this, then buyer beware. But don't worry, there's no need to be scared. Just sit back, relax, and try not to hurl, 'cause we are Mythic, the best guild in the world.